Does defense still win championships? I know
Yes.
Sam brought that up in
Yes.
Tuesday's live, so I know he
Yes.
wanted to get back to this. So
What are we
on
talking? Can I
Tuesday,
start? Can I
on
start?
hold on, hold
Sam.
on. Tuesday, our co-host Sam brought up a good point. Do defense
Yes.
still win championships?
Sam. The championship
First
game.
off, who won between Houston and Florida?
Who won? Who won between? What do you mean? Yes,
Who
Florida.
won? Did Florida beat Houston?
Florida beat them with defense,
All right.
right?
No.
Oh my! What are you talking
No.
about?
Dude,
Jalen, do you have
Houston
the
was
clip?
not that good of a
Jalen, do
scoring
you have
team
the
this
clip?
year.
Jalen, do you have the clip, bro? Do you have the clip of the last play of the game where
The
they
last
literally
play.
disrupted the last like
Okay.
2 minutes of the game where they clamped
And
them
the
and they
other top
scored every
25
time?
teams in the country can also make that same adjustment to play that tightly on
Did
defense.
they?
It's
Which
not
team?
impressive
Are you
enough in
talking about
that.
the Houston clip?
Yes, the Houston
The
clip of
Let me
him
see if I can find it.
choking at the end of the game because guess what? They were guarding the perimeter. They had a defensive game plan for the end
Yeah,
of the
that's called
game.
an
That
adjustment.
that won the
That's just an
game. It's a
adjust.
defensive adjustment.
Yes,
What
but
kind of
it's not the
adjustment?
sole determining
What kind of
factor
adjustment? What
for
kind of adjustment?
winning. They made it a defensive adjustment. Yes,
Sam, how did they
but it's
come
not
back?
the sole determining factor for winning. It's
Sam,
not the sole factor for what
how
makes a
did they come
championship
back?
team. Defense is definitely a key cog
It is the
in what
biggest.
makes championship
It is
teams
the
championship
biggest
teams. It is
threat.
not the sole determinant.
It's not
You
offense
still have the goal of basketball is to score more points than the other team.
and guard the team for not letting them score more than you.
Yes, yes. You
That's
still
the most
have to
important.
score. You
You,
still have to score.
bro, defense will win
You
every
have to
time. You can't
score.
outscore the other team every time. Obviously,
More
there's
teams can get lucky on offense than they can get on defense.
That's fair.
More teams can
However,
get
you
hot on
still need
offense than they can
skill
on
to
defense.
score. You still need to actually know what the hell you're doing with the basketball to score.
Sam. They won the
If
game
you,
off
dude,
a defensive adjustment and came back because they made adjustments to defense
but
the
they were
entire
not the better
game.
defensive team. They were
They
not the
were
better
at the end of
defensive
the day.
team.
Yes, they were.
They were not the better
Absolutely on the
defensive team
perimeter. Yes,
all
they were.
season. They
Absolutely
were not the better team
in the
defensively all
playoffs.
season.
Yes, they
It was
were.
Houston. It was
Florida in the
Houston.
playoffs.
Then
They were
where's
better
St.
than
John's? St. John's was the best defensive team in college basketball this year. Where
But they
were
couldn't
they?
score a lick.
They
They
couldn't
couldn't.
beat
You know why
Arkansas.
they couldn't?
They
Because
couldn't beat
defense.
Arkansas
Because of
because they couldn't
Arkansas's defense.
score. Because they don't score.
Because of the defense.
They don't
You
score.
just proved my
St.
point.
John's does not score. They do
Sam, you
not
just
score
proved
the
my point.
basketball. They
Sam,
won
you
the
just proved
big.
my
They
point.
won the Big East because they barely scored more than the other teams.
Sam, you literally proving my point. They didn't score. You know why? Because Arkansas had a better defense.
No,
I understand
because they're
throughout the
just bad on
years.
offense.
Who
I
did
will
They're
give
just
Sam
bad
that
on offense.
they were not very good on offense.
St.
They
John's
were
played all.
barely
Who
the
did they
top.
play
They
all
were
year,
barely in the
bro?
top 70
Who did
in
they
offensive
play all year,
efficiency this
man?
year. Barely.
They didn't
And the
play.
Big East was not that strong this year either. The Big East was not that strong.
They didn't play
UConn
anybody.
fell off. Marquette forgot how to play basketball down the stretch. Villanova is terrible. Seton Hall is terrible. Providence is terrible. Creighton was their best competition. Even Creighton wasn't that good all year long.
All right,
Yeah.
let me direct this
St.
question
John's
to
won a weak conference
Go ahead, Drew.
with great defense. And as soon as they played a slightly better opponent than they had played all season, they collapsed and could not score the basketball.
All right,
They were getting clapped.
Sam, but when I think of offense in the NCAA, I think of Alabama right now. So tell me a team that averaged more than 90 points a game this season, how they didn't win the championship then.
Well, individual games. There's context here. There's
No,
context
there's not.
here. Yes,
There's no
there is.
context.
There is. Look at BYU is the same way.
No.
BYU is the same way.
No, they're not.
Think about the context. BYU could have been in the Elite Eight. BYU versus Alabama. And think about that. One of those two teams should have made the Final Four, realistically speaking. I did not have that much faith in Duke going through the tournament. Did I have them winning a bunch of my brackets? Sure.
Okay.
But
they don't have any defensive IQ and they
Okay,
don't have
Sam.
any defensive plan.
Sam,
That's why
Alabama
they
put up
lose.
113 on BYU, and then they turned around and only scored 65 on Duke.
Ready for the clip from Houston and Florida?
Okay.
let's play the clip.
Ladies and gentlemen, please
Let's
watch
see it.
this clip. I'll run you through this. I'm going to unmute myself. I will run
Play
you
that
through
play.
it. Okay.
Last takes though while it processes.
All right. Listen, we're going to see some great perimeter defense. We're going to see them half court trap everywhere on the perimeter, disrupt the entire play. And this isn't just this play. They did it the entire last 5 minutes of the game while they're making a comeback because they were down. And yes, you were right. Houston was playing amazing defense, but it came down to the last 5 minutes. You have to play the best defense of your life. That is why defense matters more, because you have to end the game with defense, not offense. You have to make sure the other team does not come back and play harder than you. Your defense matters the most.
Let's see.
And that foul line has been a dilemma, although made the two big ones the other night. National championship is in the balance.
Thumb down the court.
13 seconds left.
Right here. One-on-one. ISO, he wants ISO, he calls the screen. Gets trapped right away. Gets trapped right away. Zone, trapped right away. Okay. Takes the stupid three because the whole play is just disrupted and then they win the game. That is defense.
It's a great defensive play.
That is the entire second half.
Were they doing that all season? What got them to that game?
Defense. Their defense in the final moment of the game, Sam.
No.
Sam, they were in a close game.
They ran in the final four. They ran into an Auburn team that was cold. They were on a cold stretch. They had not hit their team total over under in 7 of their last 8 going into that game, and they once again did not hit their team over under. Their offense was stagnating.
And they won the game.
Florida didn't have to play too much defense against them because Janai Broome is slow and unathletic. Against Auburn, no, they still put up 77 points?
And still played,
which is what their average all season. They were an offense-heavy team that won the championship. Let's switch sports here too. Let's even switch sports here. Go to football. Go to the Super Bowl this year. The Eagles put up damn near 50 on the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Destroyed the Chiefs.
Sure. But 48 points on offense. You're not going to lose many games scoring 48 points.
Dude, they made Mahomes look like Nathan Peterman out there.
Go to baseball. The Brewers have been arguably the best defensive team in baseball the last 5 years. They haven't done anything in the playoffs.
Let me bring up a graphic real quick.
Go ahead.
Who's the first teams in both conferences?
All right. The Thunder, best defensive team in the league.
He's peeking around Cavaliers, he wants to make sure
second best. The Celtics. The Celtics are the second best, and the Cavs are the third best. And then the Rockets, I don't think they're even top 5 in defense. But I know that the Cavs, the Thunder, and the Celtics are top 3. Okay, like what are we talking about right now? Okay, I'm pretty sure the Clippers are up there too. The Nuggets have the defense. I don't know the Nuggets. That proves your point. Their offense
at the same time, yeah, sure, they might be the best defensive team. Really, the best defensive teams by defensive rating are the Thunder, Magic, and Clippers. Right. But those top 3 teams that we just said, we can all agree, the top 3 teams in the playoffs right now, in no specific order, OKC, Boston, Cleveland, what do they have in common? They are the top 3 offenses in the NBA.
Correct. And
they're the top 3 most efficient teams at scoring the basketball in the NBA.
Listen, the Celtics are the only team in the past 5 years to win the championship off of pure offense, and that's a fact. Last year, the Nuggets won off of pure defense because the Heat could not score. Okay, year before that, who was it? Warriors versus Celtics. They had to play outstanding defense to stop the Celtics. They couldn't outscore them because that's not gonna happen. Okay, so they didn't have Drew Holiday or Porzingis yet, so they had to really dive down. But the Jason Tatum.
But the Warriors also had Stephen Curry, who's the greatest offensive weapon in basketball history.
Who else did they have though to play a great offense? Andrew Wiggins, yes, but that's literally it. Jordan Poole didn't show up. They had to play great defense. So Andrew Wiggins on Jason Tatum was guarding him the entire series and made him look like a fool. Made Luka look like a fool before that in the Western Conference Finals. The year before that, the Bucks, they won the championship. They were down 2-0. And guess what? Did we win a game when it was like 98-93 or something like that? If I'm not mistaken, unless I'm crazy. We might have won by like 98 to like 96, something close like that.
There was
a game. Okay.
There was not a game in the finals where both teams scored under 100. The last game 6, the Suns scored 98. That was the lowest total score.
Okay, that's what it was. That's what I was thinking about.
105-98, yeah.
And our defense, right? Our defense won us that series. And then the year before that, the Lakers against the Heat. Okay, the Lakers had a better team overall, but they had Anthony Davis, a top 3 defensive candidate, and LeBron James, who was coming off his prime in 2018. Okay? These teams, the Celtics are the only team in the last like 10 years to win off of pure offense. That's a fact.
Go back to 2021. Go back to 2021. Who were the best defensive teams in 2021?
70% of these teams have. I want you to guess the top 5.
Go ahead.
I want you to guess the 5 best defensive teams in terms of efficiency in the NBA in the year of the Bucks Suns finals.
Go ahead.
in no specific order, the Jazz, the Knicks, the Warriors, Lakers, and Sixers. None of those teams won the championship. The next closest in the 6 through 10,
Yeah, well,
the Bucks and Suns are in the 6 through 10. Offensively speaking, the Bucks were the 5th best offense in basketball. The Suns were 6th. They were tied for 6th in terms of offensive efficiency. They were better offensive teams than they were defensive teams in that finals.
But my point is, when you get to the tournament or when you get to the playoffs, your defense matters. That's the whole question. Does defense?
Oh, your defense matters all the time. Your defense matters all the time.
question is,
But it's
does
not the
defense-
sole determining factor of how to win the championship.
We just went over the past 5 years on what championship does the defense still win championships? And yes, it does. Besides last year, I will give you that. Last year the Celtics won. UConn won last year. Wasn't it UConn who won last year?
UConn won the last 2 years in a row, yeah.
Yep.
You're off of pure offense. I don't think their defense was that great last year. But
I think they did a pretty good job on Purdue Edie. I think they did a pretty good job.
Well, they had bigs last year to match him. That's why.
Mhm.
Alex
Defense.
Carabin, yeah. Donovan Clingan.
Yeah.
But
Defense. Size matching up. It works.
Hey, Drew, go ahead, bro. You were a little laggy before. Here's Drew.
I was just looking back at just like a bunch of offensive and defensive efficiency ratings for champions, and kind of just looking back before 2020.
oh, no.
2 years in a row that the Warriors won it.
There he is.
Were in offense, 10th in defense. Sorry, did you lose me again?
Yeah, still.
Yeah.
Still.
I can't figure this out, man. This
Okay.
Wi-Fi's still playing with me. You guys just keep going. I'll just sit here and shut up.
No.
No, go ahead. You good?
No.
It sounds better now.
Shut up. The fans want to hear you.
It sounds better now. So
Okay. I'm just talking about overall, just based
there you
on
go.
these numbers that I'm looking at in front of me in terms of offensive and defensive efficiency. The offense that we see here is overwhelmingly every team has at least one of the other top 5 offense or defense. Some teams have both. There are more teams that have higher offensive efficiencies and defensive efficiencies that have won the championship.
So,
Is
Sam,
that
in the
across
NBA.
all professional sports in the NBA? Okay.
yeah, Sam.
So in
Listen.
the NBA,
In the
you
NBA, you
still
play 82
have to
games.
score.
You play 82
to
games.
win.
You can score the lights out for 82 games. When it comes down to 16 games, you got to win in the last portion of the year. Your defense matters more than your offense because you can't score the lights out every game.
It
You have
can,
to
but
play
what
defense.
got you there? What got
What's
you
going to
there?
win
to
you?
that point?
What's
What
going
got
to
you
win
to
you?
that last 16 games?
What's going to win you the championship?
What wins games? Scoring more points than the other team.
How do you
What's
do
going to
that?
win the Bucks the championship this year? Is it going to be their offense or
It's not
defense?
gonna
It's
be our
gonna
offense.
be. It has to be. They're
It
gonna
will
have to
not be
blow
our
the lights out
We're gonna
of
have to
every single
guard.
team they face.
If we want to get past the first round, we're gonna have to guard everyone on the Pacers very well.
Hate to be
Second
the bad advocate here.
We're not
But-
gonna be able to outscore the Cavaliers. I'll tell you that now. We're not gonna
That'll do that. That'll do that. We'll come back to this for sure because it seems like this is going to be a hot topic all for the rest of all the playoffs. So we'll
my
definitely
gosh.
keep this topic in mind for sure.